Hey everyone, it's been a little over a week since my initial video about the FTC versus YouTube COPPA settlement agreement, and some things have changed since then, in my opinion, a little bit for the better, and some things have actually changed a little bit for the worse as a result of that. And just like with that initial video, this is just me talking to you, me just talking to an audience. There's no script here. If you're looking for the most succinct wrap-up of the latest facts, this is not the video for you any more than the previous video was. It's just me talking based on what I understand and just giving an update on what I consider to be a very, very serious issue for a lot of YouTube creators, which will ultimately also affect a lot of viewers of creators' content. When I did that initial video, the reason that I did that initial video rather than just letting everybody else take care of the issue while I focused on Lego and stuff like that was that I saw a tremendous number of fellow creators related to Lego, related to toys, related to collectibles, games, all animations, all sorts of things that can be affected by the ruling, not taking it seriously and essentially admitting on video and practically encouraging their viewers and smaller creators to not take this situation seriously and to ultimately violate the order, to not follow the order, to not do what we are legally required to do. Fortunately, that situation has changed dramatically. In some cases, some of us, and some people would say I'm in this bucket, have overreacted. In some cases, some folks are still underreacting, but there's a lot more discussion, and just in general, the YouTube creator community on the whole, and also the viewer community, are taking this a lot more seriously. And that's what mattered the most to me. Everybody has a right to, an obligation to use their own brains to figure things out, to interpret things as they see fit. But on the subject of interpretation, the FTC itself has come out with a blog post, which a lot of people have seen already by now, that helps to clarify things quite a bit. Now, I will link to that directly in the video description down below, directly to their blog post. I recommend that everyone rely on that. That is the actual information. That is the source. Don't rely on my interpretation of it. Don't rely on any other one YouTuber's interpretation, no matter how many views we get, no matter how many thumbs up we get, no matter how many random people agree with us. That doesn't necessarily make us wrong. And I've continued to see people, even from a legal perspective, getting things absolutely 100% clearly, factually wrong. So take anything that anyone like myself says with a grain of salt, and even if you see something that claims to be from a legal perspective, still verify with the source. I will also, with that link to, just for the sake of counterpoint, a lawyer on YouTube tearing apart that blog post and explaining that from a legal perspective, he believes the blog post does not bring us anything new, does not provide any true clarity or give us any direct legal advice or guidance. But here's what I personally like very much, that I see very clearly in that post from the FTC. The FTC recognizes that there can be two pieces of content that both look, from what I call the 20-foot view, to be child-directed. Let's say they're both animations or something with really simple style animation, drawn stuff, that can both look like they're made for kids, but that actually aren't. Where one can be truly made for kids, directed at kids under the age of 13, based on content and context, while the other can be truly mature. And the FTC, before attempting to levy any fines against creators, those $42,530 US per video maximum fines against creators, they will consider more context. They will look more closely, more carefully, because they actually do have to take legal action. They're not able to just levy these fines. They need to make a case for it. They need to prove that you have knowingly violated, or that you have violated the order in a clear fashion that will pass muster, that will pass legal definitions, and that is a confident case. So my initial concern that it was just going to be a bunch of boomers and interns of boomers who know nothing about the content looking at these things from a 20-foot view, or not necessarily worse, but similarly bad, just algorithms doing these tests based on what they see in visual context, just looking at the images, the pixels of the images, and attempting to recognize objects, types of objects, looking at automated transcripts, looking at tags, looking at titles and things like that. It's not going to be just that. They may use tools like that, low intelligence tools, to look for patterns of content that continue to violate the terms of the agreement. But before they actually fine anybody with these potentially huge fines, they will look into it more closely. So based on that, I feel that some creators don't have as much to worry about today as we did when the order initially came out, about the FTC fining us in particular. And I think that the folks who benefit the most from that clarification are those who make animations that are clearly targeted more towards teens and adults, stuff with a lot of mature themes where it's just clear and it's not trying to get a child audience. And also folks who play games that are clearly made not for kids, games that are mature rated or games that are for teens and up. As far as folks like myself who do stuff for Lego, even though Lego or toys, where most of the video is focusing on a toy up close, reviews and things like that, even though a poll on my community tab right now shows that something like 90% of my audience is 13 and up, with around half of those being over 18, not a skewed result, by the way, based on all the evidence that I have. A lot of people won't understand that who don't follow the channel, but I don't speak in child speak, and if you look at my comments, you will see that almost everybody watching, the vast majority of people watching my content and the content of many people like myself who do content like myself, are above 13. However, I personally still feel that I cannot make a case that a video of a toy car or a little toy boat like this, showing it up close throughout the entire thing and talking about its play features and things, can possibly legally count as made for adults. I personally don't see how my content, most of the content that I've made to date, can be legally listed as not made for kids, but that's just my own personal interpretation. But I've talked about some things that I consider to be good news from that FTC blog post. Again, read it for yourself without bias, read the words and look for what the words actually mean, not what you want them to mean or what someone tells you they want them to mean. Definitely always use your own brain power and don't rely on folks like me to tell you what to think. But here's what I think is actually bad and potentially even worse now about this situation. Now that the FTC has clarified their end to some degree, most likely getting some creators off the hook who should be off the hook, there still remains the issue of YouTube and YouTube's compliance actions. As YouTube has told us clearly in no uncertain terms,
if we find that you're abusing our systems and intentionally marking your videos incorrectly, this may result in consequences for your channel or videos. If we find that you're abusing our systems,
they also will be looking to take actions against us if they feel we have marked our content incorrectly. So they still have their algorithm that has gone since November 12th, that marks content automatically as potentially made for kids or not. We can still, as we have been able to since November 12th, mark our content as made for kids or not. We can also do it on a channel basis. Regardless of what YouTube has set, we can override what they have set automatically at this point. However, YouTube has told us that once we set it manually, they can still come back and challenge that and change it. Once they change it, then it gets locked in. We can appeal by sending feedback to a black box, a giant mailbox that is probably never going to have anything in it read whatsoever. But essentially, their decision is final. They have policing authority here, as they've taken it for themselves because they can, separate from anything that the FTC could do. So the FTC, if they had interest in a channel as a potential violator, could look at that channel, could look at that channel's content and review it carefully and see that actually this is not child directed. You know, it looked like it. We look at all the thumbnails and it looks like it. But once we actually listen to any of the content, actually watch any of the content from a nice wide sample, this is clearly not something that we need to target. Let's move on. Look for a juicier target. YouTube can still disagree with that. YouTube can still take action against us. YouTube can still cut our videos off, take them off the platform. If they disagree with us too much, YouTube can still close our channels overnight with possibly no chance of appeal. Sometimes they allow appeals on some things, especially if you have enough money, if you have enough clout on other social media platforms to make a big stink to where it becomes a PR issue for YouTube, then they might take action. But if you don't have that kind of clout where you can get major media articles going or thousands and thousands of retweets going in your favor, guaranteed, then you may be completely out of luck if YouTube takes your channel offline because of what they consider to be non-compliance, regardless of what the FTC thinks. So the FTC has made themselves even less of a bad guy now than they were before. Remember, this is all because of Google, YouTube's wrongdoing, clearly, explicitly, undeniably, knowingly breaking a fairly straightforward, fairly simple, fairly wholesome law that is just designed to keep companies and individuals from collecting personal private data from small children and exploiting that information for any sort of purpose. YouTube broke that law. Well, the FTC has made itself a little bit less of an enemy still to us with their latest update. YouTube itself still remains a potential very formidable enemy in this. So as far as I'm concerned, none of us, well, few of us are completely off the hook. Actually, none of us are completely off the hook because we still cannot rely on YouTube. YouTube has not given us any direct guidance. They have not given us any update. They've tried to pass all the responsibility to us to interpret what the FTC thinks. But YouTube has also clearly stated that they will take actions above and beyond anything that the FTC states or anything that's related to this legal settlement agreement. So that's pretty much the update for now. I'm personally not going to change course as a result of anything that has occurred over the past week. I still believe that the vast majority of everything that I said in that initial video is accurate and correct, with the only caveat being that, like I said, the FTC has now recognized and let us know that they recognize that there is a difference in types of similar looking content, and letting us know that they will look more closely into the situation before they fine us. So that is an important distinction. However, YouTube may not. We're still in the same situation just like we have been with previous demonetization issues and with folks being banned for unknown reasons in some cases, or for dubious reasons, or for questionable, controversial reasons. We still have that in effect, where YouTube ultimately itself, Google itself, has ultimate control over creators' entire existence on the platform and everything, all the work that we've done and that we have published on YouTube is still in their hands. And again, they've let us know clearly that they can take action based on this or under the guise of being based on this that can completely ruin us. That's all I've got to say for now. A lot of people have been talking about this. Listen to different people. Take everybody's word with a grain of salt. Look as much as you can at the source material. And yeah, just be careful, be safe, try to enjoy, continue to enjoy watching content if you're just a viewer. Try to continue to enjoy creating content if you're a creator. Just mark things as accurately as you can. Still err on the side of safety. If you are a creator, marking your content for kids or not for kids, use your best judgment for that. I recommend erring strongly on the side of safety. We're in a better condition with the FTC now than we were a week ago, but with YouTube, you still never know. Thanks. Talk to you again soon. Last night, I received a phone call at 3:30 a.m. from someone who claimed to work at a coffee shop down the street from YouTube headquarters. And do you know what they told me? Stay tuned to find out.